Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty fundamental for any business wanting to, well, succeed, making sense of market research data.
It sounds complex, but it's crucial.
Exactly. We've got this great article from Cognitive Market Research that really unpacks how all that raw information gets turned into those
Yeah.
moments that drive smart business decisions.
Yeah, transforming data into actual knowledge.
Right. So our mission for you, listening in, is to cut through that complexity. We want you to really grasp how businesses take feedback, market numbers, all that stuff,
Mm,
and turn it into actual strategies without getting bogged down in jargon.
Precisely.
Think about Tesla. They're constantly tweaking things based on what the market's saying.
Mm.
Or P&G launching massive products because they really figured out what consumers like us actually want.
There are some fascinating stories hidden in that data.
For sure. And we're going to explore those. Okay, so let's unpack this. What's the real core idea behind analyzing market research?
Well, at its heart, it's about taking all that raw info, could be from surveys, social media, sales figures, anything really, and properly inspecting it.
Inspecting how?
Looking for the story hiding in the numbers. Interpreting what the patterns, the trends actually mean for the business itself.
So it's not just collecting data.
Not at all. The goal isn't a data pile. It's actionable knowledge. Knowledge that then guides, strategic choices.
It's like advertising or...
Exactly. Advertising campaigns, developing new products, deciding where to focus efforts. It becomes the compass.
Right. It's like putting together a puzzle, not just finding the pieces, but seeing the whole picture.
Yeah.
So where does a business even start with all this raw stuff? What are those first steps?
Okay, the first steps are all about building a solid base.
Hmm.
First, you organize the data logically. Then, and this is critical, you clean it.
Clean it, like data hygiene.
Kind of, yeah. Raw data can be messy. You might have inconsistencies, errors, stuff that's just irrelevant to what you're trying to find out. You need to filter out that noise, otherwise your analysis won't be reliable.
Makes sense.
Once it's clean, analysts use different techniques. Broadly, you've got descriptive evaluation, basically summaries like averages or percentages, giving you a snapshot.
Okay.
Then there's inferential evaluation. That's where you use a smaller sample of data to make educated guesses, generalizations, about a larger group.
Right.
And finally, predictive analysis, using past data to try and forecast what might happen next.
So looking ahead.
Exactly. The underlying aim through all this is to really get customer perceptions, find growth areas in the market, and spot where the business can maybe improve or find new opportunities.
So taking that jumbled information and creating order so you can actually see what it means. Now, I know when I see a massive spreadsheet, my eyes glaze over. How do businesses make this complex stuff, easy to understand for everyone involved?
That's where data visualization is absolutely essential. Trying to make sense of raw, complex data sets is, well, it's tough.
Tell me about it.
So tools like graphs, charts, dashboards, they're crucial because they present the data visually. Makes it way more accessible for people across the company.
So decision makers can actually see it.
Precisely. They can instantly spot key trends, see important developments, understand the insights much faster than wading through rows and rows of numbers. It's like turning that complicated spreadsheet into a clear picture.
Gotcha. The visuals tell the story. And once you have these clear insights, maybe laid out visually, how do they actually become real actions for the business?
Okay, so once those insights are clear, the next vital step is translating them into actual strategies, actionable plans.
How does that work?
It's about taking what the data revealed, say, specific customer feedback, and using it to plan how to boost satisfaction, or maybe refining your products to better match what people need.
Or dealing with competitors.
Yes, or developing strategies to directly respond to what competitors are up to. The key principle, really, is ensuring decisions are grounded in solid data, not just gut feelings or assumptions.
Okay, this is really making sense now, connecting the dots. You mentioned real-world examples earlier. Let's zoom in on Tesla. Everyone knows they innovate constantly.
Yeah.
How does market research play into that speed?
Tesla's approach is really interesting. They actively pull market intelligence from a very wide range of places.
Like what?
They're watching social media closely, understanding public feeling, spotting new desires. Maybe discussions about charging reveal a need for faster solutions, right? That influences development. They also directly analyze customer feedback, surveys, forums, plus they keep a very close eye on competitors and the broader direction of the auto market.
So it's constant input.
Constant. And this flow of information directly shapes their decisions on everything, the specific features in the cars, design tweaks, even pricing.
Wow.
Tesla's ability not just to collect this research, but to analyze it and act on it quickly, that's been a huge part of their leadership in the EV space. Their vehicles are always improving, and that improvement is heavily guided by market learning.
That's a great example of a company really listening. What about a more established giant like Procter and Gamble? How do they use research to stay dominant?
Yeah, if you think about understanding consumers, P&G is another really powerful case study. They invest heavily in understanding the details of their customers' lives.
Oh, so.
Through extensive research, traditional stuff like surveys and focus groups, sure, but also observing how people actually use products at home.
Right.
One of their big successes we touched on, Tide Pods. That wasn't just about less mess. The research probably uncovered deeper insights about busy lives, the desire for ultimate convenience.
Ah, the single dose appeal.
Exactly. That fueled the format. And P&G's ongoing commitment isn't just for new launches. It's vital for building brand loyalty and staying competitive in a super crowded market. They're always trying to track how consumer needs are shifting.
So it's crystal clear market research isn't optional. It's fundamental for smart business moves. But why now, in today's fast-changing world, is understanding the market and customers more critical than ever?
That really gets to the core value, doesn't it? In today's marketplace, things change so fast. Businesses just can't afford to fly blind based on assumptions.
Too risky.
Way too risky. Market research gives you those vital insights into what consumers actually want, what they need, how their behavior is changing.
And that lets businesses.
It lets them tailor everything, products, services, marketing, to really hit the mark. Without that deep understanding, you're basically guessing. And guessing is a bad strategy when competition is fierce.
Absolutely. You have to know who you're talking to and what matters to them. And the article also mentions spotting wider trends and potential problems.
Precisely. By systematically gathering and analyzing data, businesses can spot emerging trends early. Maybe it's a growing interest in sustainability or a shift in how people prefer to communicate.
Or find new opportunities.
Yes, opportunities they might have missed otherwise. And also, crucially, anticipate potential risks before they become big headaches.
So it helps them adapt.
Allows them to be much more agile, much more adaptable. Ultimately, it's about truly getting your target audience their wants, needs, pain points, so you can create things that genuinely resonate.
Which leads to happier customers.
Happier customers, stronger loyalty. And like we said, this understanding comes from various places, surveys, focus groups, and increasingly watching online behavior to see what people actually do.
Okay, so a business is convinced they need research. But there's so many ways to do it. How do they figure out the right method for what they need?
Yeah, choosing the right technique really comes down to a few key things. It depends heavily on your specific research objectives. What exactly are you trying to learn? Also, what kind of data do you need to answer that question? And then practical stuff comes in budget, timeline.
Right, the real-world constraints.
Exactly. And as the article notes, the two main buckets are qualitative and quantitative research. Each has its own strengths.
Okay, qualitative and quantitative. Can you paint a clearer picture? When would a business choose one over the other?
Sure. The absolute first step, like the article says, is defining clearly what you need to find out. Are you exploring attitudes, opinions, motivations, the why behind actions?
Okay.
Or do you need to measure specific behaviors, count opinions, identify trends, the what and how many?
Got it.
If the goal is that deep understanding, the subjective side perceptions, motivations, experiences with a brand, then qualitative methods are usually best.
Like interviews.
Like in-depth interviews, yeah, where you can really talk things through. Or focus groups, where you see group dynamics and explore different viewpoints more openly.
Okay, so qualitative gives you that rich, nuanced why. What about quantitative? When does that fit better?
Quantitative is all about the numbers, the measurement. It lets you analyze findings statistically and, importantly, generalize them to a bigger population.
Ah, so you can say X% of our customers think.
Exactly. So if your goal is measuring how common certain behaviors are, finding statistically significant trends, or quantifying opinions across a large group, then quantitative methods are typically the way to go.
Like surveys.
Things like surveys with structured questions, multiple choice answers, or analyzing big data sets, transaction records, website clicks, that sort of thing.
So one gives depth, the other gives breadth.
That's a great way to put it. Qualitative gives depth, the why. Quantitative gives breadth and measurability, well, the what and how many. Quick takeaway, qual for why people do things, quant for how many people do them.
That really clarifies it. And the article also brought up considering your target audience and sample size. How do those affect the method choice?
Oh, hugely. Who you're talking to and how many people you need to understand are critical.
How so?
Well, if you're researching a large, diverse group, say, all potential smartphone buyers, quantitative methods like big online surveys or analyzing web traffic let you gather data from lots of people. That helps make your findings statistically reliable.
Right, strength in numbers.
But if your target audience is smaller, more niche, maybe high-end enterprise software users or a specific hobbyist group, then qualitative methods can often give you richer insights.
Why is that?
Because you can do deep dives.
Yeah.
In-depth interviews with key people or small focus groups with represented customers can reveal much more detail about their specific needs and views than a broad survey might capture.
Okay, tailoring the approach to the audience. Now, another big piece the article hit on is actually analyzing and interpreting all this data once you've collected it.
Absolutely critical. The analysis phase is where raw data starts becoming actual insights.
And it's different for quantitative versus qualitative, right?
Yes, quantitative research gives you numerical data. Analyzing that usually involves statistical techniques. You might look for correlations, calculate average scores, see if differences between groups are statistically significant.
So you need some stats knowledge.
Often, yes. Using statistical software helps, and understanding the principles is key to drawing valid conclusions. You need to be comfortable with numbers.
Right. What about qualitative data then? How do you find the key themes in pages of interview notes or focus group transcripts?
Finding insights in qualitative data is often a mix of systematic analysis and, honestly, some interpretive skill. You're going beyond just listing what people said.
To find the patterns.
Exactly. Finding recurring themes, common feelings, underlying patterns that can actually inform decisions. A big part is looking for connections.
Like?
Well, the article gives a good example. Say, in a customer satisfaction study, you have product ratings and open-ended comments about service. You might see a pattern. People who rave about feature X also consistently praise the support team.
Ah, so there's a link.
Right. That's a valuable insight. Maybe the combination of that feature and great service is driving satisfaction and loyalty. That connection might only emerge from looking at both types of feedback together.
That makes total sense, seeing connections emerge. The article also mentions segmentation as another powerful analysis tool. Can you tell us more about that?
Segmentation is super useful for getting a more detailed view. It means dividing your customers or research participants into smaller groups based on shared traits.
Like age or location.
Could be demographics like age, income, location, or behavioral things, purchase history, how they use your product, engagement levels.
And why do that?
Because when you analyze the data for each segment separately, you can often spot unique tendencies or needs within specific groups that get lost if you only look at the average across everyone.
So you find niche preferences.
Precisely. It's incredibly valuable for creating more targeted marketing or tailoring products to better fit different segments. Think of it like sorting your email. You group similar messages to understand them better. Businesses do that with customer data.
So less one-size-fits-all, more personalized strategies. Okay, when it comes to the actual number crunching for quantitative data, what tools do businesses use?
Yeah, it's usually more than just manual calculations. Businesses leverage analytical tools. There's a spectrum.
Starting simple.
At the simpler end is descriptive analysis. That's about summarizing the data you have, calculating averages, medians, maybe standard deviations, creating basic visuals like bar charts or pie charts to make it easy to grasp.
Just describing what's there.
Exactly. It gives you that foundational overview. Then you get into more advanced stuff, which falls under inferential analysis.
And that's about?
That's where you start drawing conclusions about the bigger population based on your sample data, using techniques like hypothesis testing or confidence intervals.
To see if your findings likely apply more broadly.
Yes, to see if your results are statistically significant and likely true for your whole market, and to test specific assumptions you might have.
Okay, so you've got the data, analyzed it, found the insights. Now, the crucial step, communicating it effectively to the people who need to make decisions.
And this brings us back to the vital role of creating really good data visualizations. As the article highlights, our brains process visuals way faster than text or raw numbers.
Which is why charts are so popular.
Absolutely. That's why visualization is such a powerful communication tool in research. Presenting data through well-designed graphs, clear charts, maybe heat maps or infographics, it conveys the key insights much more clearly and persuasively. It helps ensure everyone across the organization really understands the story the data is telling.
So it's about making insights not just available, but memorable and impactful. What makes a data visualization really effective then?
A truly effective visual does a few things well. It highlights the most important aspects of the data. It makes patterns and relationships immediately obvious.
Can you give an example?
Sure, a clean line graph showing sales over time instantly shows growth, dips, seasonal effects, maybe the impact of a campaign, or a simple bar chart comparing customer satisfaction across regions. Quickly shows where things are great and where there might be issues.
Right, making it easy to spot the key takeaways.
Exactly. The goal is clarity and impact, enabling decision makers to grasp the essentials quickly and act with confidence.
Fantastic. Well, this has been a really insightful journey. We've gone from that initial raw market research data through all the crucial steps, analysis, visualization, right up to creating actionable business strategies.
Indeed. We've seen how that transformation happens: careful analysis, visual communication, and ultimately smart strategic thinking based on evidence.
Yeah.
But let's leave you, the listener, with maybe one final thought to chew on. Consider how this ability to effectively interpret data isn't just for businesses. It actually empowers you to better understand the world around you.
How so?
Well, from making more informed choices in your own life to understanding broader social trends you see in the news, data literacy is becoming so important. So maybe ask yourself, what questions does this deep dive into market research raise for your own understanding of information and how decisions get made, both big and small?
That's a really powerful point to end on, something definitely worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.